What's up, America? Kevin from Kevin's Corner. And you know what offends me? White privilege. This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. Click on the link below. Make sure you put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount. Friends, gotta let you know, when you think about the direction of our country and where we're headed, do you think about the food supply? You should, okay? You never know what's gonna happen. And all of us should be prepared for a rainy day. Well, I do. And I understand that a disruption in that food supply chain could be devastating. And most of the time it happens with little or no warning, and that is why the smartest thing that you can do is to start stockpiling on food, water, and other essentials. The Red Cross suggests that you have at least 30 days of food and water in your household, okay? Now, you gotta make sure that food and water is not gonna give you botulism one day. So make sure that when you get emergency food, it lasts at least 25 years. So therefore, whenever you need it, it's ready to go. Now, I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest preparedness company in America, serving millions of citizens for decades. That means you can trust them. In fact, they're the only source that I trust to provide my goodies for me, old man Teddy, and all the dogs for our preparedness plan. Now, right now, you can save 20% of a full 4-week supply of delicious meals, providing 2,000 calories per day. Saving 20% helps you also, especially right about now. So go to preparewithkevinscorner.com and get yourself ready. That is preparewithkevinscorner.com, and you have no time to waste. Do it right now. Okay, now let's get to the video. That's right, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. White privilege offends me as a black man. Okay, now I bet you some of y'all thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Kev, as a black conservative, we didn't think that you were into all of those narratives that come out from white liberals, and Democrats, and black Democrats, and mad for nothing black folks, and all of that stuff. Well, I'm not. See, right now, I'm about to hit the folks that came to this channel based off of the title with something called, I would call it, political jitsu. See, I'm gonna flip it on them. They probably saw the title and was thinking to themselves, now wait, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, I'm sick of that white privilege too. Let me check out what this brother man is saying. Well, if you're one of those angry, mad for nothing black folks who done bought into this, then either you're gonna be really mad and gonna call me a whole bunch of names that it's designed to hurt my feeling on the inside, but I don't care. Or you're gonna be enlightened. Now, what do I mean when I say the whole concept, the whole statement, the whole narrative of white privilege offends me? Well, first off, it causes black folks to always play the role of the damsel. Now, I don't know about y'all, but growing up as a black man, I was kind of happy. I mean, I was kind of privileged in my mind because some perks came along with it, at least from my perspective. I mean, there were things that I would do, and I didn't mind white people admiring it, because for whatever reason, they didn't get that boogie gene. That boogie gene might have passed them. They didn't get some of the things that was just God given down to me. Now, I'm not saying white people can't do all those things, but I am going to say this. There's a lot of things that come along with being black that made us proud to be black. I never looked at being black as some type of disability, some type of form of being behind the 8 ball. I mean, shoot, when we got in races, and we saw a couple white boys in it, do you think we thought we was gonna lose? Do you think that when we got in there with a couple of the white dudes, we was thinking to ourselves, well, man, I'm probably gonna be the victim in this race? No, we were sitting back like, dude, we're about to smoke these white dudes. And if you lost, you can't even go back to the neighborhood. This dude got beat by a white dude, oh snap. So there were some automatic built-in privileges that came along with being black. Now, when they want us to play the role of the victim all the time, or the damsel in distress, that creates them to be what? The hero. Now, I don't know about you if you're black. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with listening to white liberals always talk about how you're disadvantaged and they always got to come to your rescue, because by saying we have white privilege, that's automatically saying we're better than you. Just the fact that we are white makes us better than you. We get things and advantages that you guys just can't get. So therefore, we recognize that we're better than you, and we recognize that we're white privileged, and therefore we're going to take pity on you since you're the damsel. And see, what we're going to do is we're going to always be in that mode of let's rescue the poor damsels in distress, the black people. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not cool with that, man. See, that offends me when you put me in the constant role of the damsel. Can I be the hero sometimes? That's what I want to know. When my brother and I was growing up and we played little games, he always got to pick who he wanted to be. When we was playing chips, he always was Punch and made me be John. When we was playing Starsky and Hutch, yeah, he always was Starsky, I had to be Hutch. When we played the Dukes of Hazzard, he was Bo and I had to be Luke. When we played Cagney and Lacey, he was Cagney and I always had to be Lacey. So you get where I'm going with this. They always get to pick the role that they play in regards to black people. And it also is a form of helping them with their self-esteem. Look at us, we recognize we're better than you. And it makes me feel good just to recognize or tell you that I recognize that I'm better than you. That lets you know that we're identifying with you and your disabilities and stuff like that. Yeah, and it also makes you not look at the other white people who don't buy into that the same way as me, who simply vocalize that to you, but probably deep down on the inside. It makes me sleep good at night because I'm lying to myself and saying, well, you know, I am better than those black people. But at least I recognize that, and I'm willing to do something to help them overcome being the damsel. The second reason it offends me is this. It dummies down the standards for black people. So when you say we have white privilege, so then now what? What do you do to offset that? I mean, you're not giving up your jobs. I mean, you're not saying, you know what, let's go ahead and give some of these black people our cars, our houses, our jobs. All these politicians to talk about white privilege and all that stuff. I don't see them, you know, breaking the piggy bank to give us loans and things of that nature. Just by saying you recognize that and acknowledge it. And what that got to do with me? How does that better my life? See, so now what you're doing really is now to compensate for that. You're always dummying down the standards out there in California. The little black kids who, for whatever reason, was constantly being suspended. The go-to, the answer, the response, the solution was simply to dummy down the expectation of their behavior.
Principals and administrators will be banned from suspending students for willful defiance of teachers and staff. Now, Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill 419 into law yesterday. The bill bans schools from suspending kids in grades K through 8th for showing willful defiance toward a teacher or administrator. Now, the new law also bans schools from expelling students in all grades and applies to both traditional public schools and charter schools. The law goes into effect statewide July 1st, 2020. Willful defiance suspensions had already been eliminated in LAUSD schools.
So instead of finding out the source of the problem, going into the black neighborhoods to see what is contributing to their behavior, they decide, I guess, to just stop suspending kids that's under, 8th grade or something like that. Now, I don't think that's a good solution. So what you're saying is that we can't behave and live up to the standard of normal society. Therefore, we have to lower the standards for you guys because we're privileged. We are normal. You guys are a little bit subnormal. So the way we handle that is we just lower the bar, even though we know we're lowering the bar because, see, we already have the expectation for our kids and our citizens to operate and function in a society. So, you know, but by doing this virtue signaling and lowering the bar for you guys, it lets you know we recognize you're not like us. You're beneath us, and we're here to rescue you. I mean, just the whole concept of voter suppression is offensive. What do you mean voter suppression? I want you to take a look at this clip.
I'm Ami Horowitz, and I'm here in Berkeley, California to find out if voter ID laws suppress the black vote. You know voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad.
I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African Americans.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy cameras?
I know, right?
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that. It's on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
Unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm.
I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's my thought process on it.
I just think that's ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot. Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, but you're judging them because they're black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Are you
Love
cool?
showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, "Can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Now, you see all the people who had that mentality of course, black people, they can't vote. They can't get to the polls. It's a shame. They don't know how to get on the internet and do research. They might not be able to get down there and get themselves some type of ID. Are you kidding me? Black people are very resourceful. And by them even bringing up this concept that there's voter suppression based on our ignorance, our lack of resources, our inability to negotiate through society to get things like a voter ID, but yet suspiciously, they don't lower that standard in any other category. But when it comes down to voting, that should give black people an indicator to let them know that this whole concept is simply being used for political reasons, which brings me to the next reason that the concept of white privilege offends me. When you are constantly using us as a form of a political weapon to beat your enemies, that don't make me feel cool. That doesn't make me feel like you're genuine and you really care about me. it makes me feel like you're using black people as some type of weapon to bludgeon your enemies who don't agree with this concept. Introducing this concept of white privilege. If other white people or politicians don't embrace it or accept it, then that gives other white politicians who got the same benefits and privilege that these other white privileged people, that they're saying these folks have white privilege and they don't acknowledge it. And if they don't acknowledge it, then they're racist, and it gives me the moral high ground. And what does that do? Make all the black people and other minorities rush to the polls and vote for the guy who gave you lip service and told you that I'm not going to do anything about this white privilege I claim I have, but I am going to virtue signal by telling you that I acknowledge it. But they're not even doing that. So they're worse than us white people that are privileged. So you're using us to bludgeon your political enemies. And then finally, it offends me because it keeps black people in a constant state of victimization. If you say that because of white privilege, we are doomed, we will never get ahead, we will never be on the same equal level playing ground as you all. Now what? What do we do from there? Do we ever even try to succeed, or should we just walk around singing old Negro spirituals for the rest of our lives? Y'all just killed our hope. Y'all just killed any chance of any type of equality, any type of civil rights that would make a difference. It will never help if y'all have built-in privilege. It's nothing you can do. It's baked into the cake. So why are we even trying? Why do they come up to the podium all the time talking about systemic racism? We're going to deal with it. We're going to... No. We can't deal with it because we're already behind the 8 ball. Coming in the door. Y'all already got about 10 steps ahead of us. So now, where does that leave us? It leaves us in a constant state of victimization. This whole concept of white privilege is offensive on so many levels, and they have packaged it to the point where many black people, they don't see it like that. They see it as, well, look at these white people that are on our side because of all the years we had to suffer through oppression, versus white people who believe in equality, but they don't believe in I'm better than you or you're better than me, but we're all starting with the same, ability to compete, the same opportunities, even though the outcome may be different. Because if you're trying to get into all of that, now there's some black people that have different privilege than other black people. When you start talking about people in general, at some point you're going to run across somebody just based off of their environment, where they were born, some of the resources they have, is going to give them advantage over others. Do we come up with all of that and come up with these things? Oh, you know what? Men have men privilege because they have testosterone. Or women have women privilege because they can give birth. All of these things. So instead of looking at all of our differences and using them to divide us, why not just recognize them and start with a good level playing ground? Say, let's work to make sure everybody has an equal opportunity, not some inherited privilege that's out of your hands and out of your control, and something that you could never solve. They always set these concepts up to be ongoing, which lets you know it's being used for political gain, because there's no way to solve or deal with or, dissolve this whole concept of white privilege, of systemic racism. These are the boogeymen that they create to keep black people in that constant state of victimization and to always use this against their political enemies. And frankly, I'm offended. Now, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. God bless you. God bless America. We see y'all next time. Take care. Just want to say thanks for checking out the video. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. The link is below this video. If you click on it and put Kevin in the promo code, you'll get a 20% discount. And finally, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And if you'd like to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, there's links below this video to do that as well. Okay, God bless you and God bless America. Take care.